BullsEYE is back, the basketball version from the Meyer Family Hardwood Club. Darek Sharp, Caylee Cottrell, and Joey Johnston. Whereas a couple weeks back, we focused on the men's basketball team with Amir Abdur-Rahim and Chris Youngblood. And don't worry, we're going to talk about the men's basketball team and what they've been up to here shortly. Today, our guest will be Jose Fernandez, along with one of his leaders, Romi Levy, on the program. We'll also always step outside of the basketball court and speak to someone else, this time on the golf course, not actually on the golf course, but talking with men's golf coach Steve Bradley. And before we talk about the guys, we always add a feature with Caylee Cottrell. What have you been hard at work on these days with the video side?
I have a Women's Basketball Education Day feature coming up, which was, that game is always so dang fun.
I've never seen anything quite like that. When they get the kids in there and they're all screaming at the top of their lungs like constantly. It is an incredible environment.
It's absolutely unreal. I mean, I think some of the staff was handing out earplugs just because of how loud those kids were. They were absolutely loving it.
It makes you appreciate noise-canceling headphones.
Right, true.
Ours really do cancel the noise because it was great and it was a record for attendance.
Oh, it was almost 10,000, I think, definitely over 9, almost 10,000 kids.
One of the most memorable environments.
So cool for them. I know they got a little booklet that they could learn all the rules and this and that of basketball and could outline Rocky D. Bull and had coloring pages with the Bull U. And
I'm guessing the opponents know what they're getting into. I always wonder when they walk out and say, what in the heck? What is this? Because it is loud.
It's been so long since that game. I think it was Charleston Southern, but if I'm wrong, don't make fun of me. And hopefully you focus on how those kids actually were pretty savvy. They didn't share the other team's buckets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they were going nuts.
We'll talk a lot about women's basketball here shortly, especially with the head coach. But let's chat about the men's team, because since we talked to Amir Abdur-Rahim, they haven't lost. They were getting ready to play Rice. That was a memorable game. Then Memphis, then Wichita. And Joey, you've been there at all the games. Has there been any one particular player that's done anything memorable in any of the second halves of those games?
You know what? Cason Pryor comes to mind. He has been not only productive, but he's been borderline amazing and incredible. He's doing things I don't think I've seen at this program. And it's not just the scoring and the rebounding, but the game against Rice, he scored, he rebounded, he made almost all of his free throws, and he had 5 blocks and 5 steals. I had just never seen a game that complete from start to finish, and he has followed up on that. He's getting to the point where now a double-double is like the expected production from him. He's a 6'10" guy that can play every position. I mean, he is exciting to watch, and I tell you what, if you're a fan and you catch him on the way in or out, he's going to get a picture with you. I mean, he's a fan favorite.
That's what I was going to say, too. He has that spark that he really knows how to hype up and energize the crowd and get them into it. He has that unique little special trait about him.
It's one speed with him. And you mentioned double-double. Sometimes those are just going to come naturally if you attack the glass, but he's been making some pretty clutch shots and some clutch moves as well.
Yeah. He once he gets rolling, it seems like once he makes his first basket, he's on a roll. And not only from the field, but from the free throw line, he's shooting about 90% in conference games. He takes his sweet time, and opponents.
We talked about that on the show with Amir.
Opponents count it down. They're 1, 2, 3, but he gets 8 to 10 seconds, and he's ready, and he is unbelievable at the free throw line. So clearly one of the better players we've seen around here in a long time, and the best could be yet to come.
Well, I got to ask you what it was like being there in Memphis. We heard it on Bulls Unlimited, where we do the radio broadcast. Joey does every game with Jim Lighthall. As you're seeing this, they played there against Temple in Philadelphia on Wednesday. They're coming up back at home on Saturday. What was that like being there? I know you got to try and keep it together, but it must have been hard.
Yeah, it was something else. First, it was an unusual day. It was very cold in Memphis, and people were having trouble traveling on the road, so the crowd was a little smaller than normal. Maybe that worked in USF's advantage, but Memphis got off to a big lead. In fact, they led by 20 points in the second half. Very difficult to come back from something like that. But this USF team just has a way of chipping away, not panicking. They held it together. They've got some great leadership, and down the stretch, they played better than Memphis. Memphis had scored 63 points in the second half of their previous game. USF held them to 26 on this night. And of course, the clutch tying layup by Jaden Reed, the freshman, and then of course the Johnny on the spot, Cason Pryor gets the free throw to win the game. And once Memphis's shot fell short, USF had beaten a top 10 team for the first time in 14 years. So one of the great moments in the history of the program.
And I thought if Kaysen did anything in the next game, he was going to be the AAC Player of the Week. Caylee, you were there. He did a lot again, another double-double.
Yeah.
Did that impress you how they were able to follow it up? Because that's not a guaranteed thing, and come back again against Wichita.
Yeah, I mean, that Memphis game, I was screaming in my living room, absolutely screaming.
Same.
But,
I had the system, by the way. I had the stats on this computer,
Yeah.
which were 2 seconds ahead of the radio call, which were 2 seconds ahead of the TV call, because I wanted to know that we won or lost right away. I mean, it was that tense, watching.
Yeah. I mean, and my mind even goes back to the Rice game before that. I mean, that sparked something.
Yeah.
I think that was so unreal. That reminded me of last year's UCF game, that environment, because
Yep.
that Yingling Center was rocking that game. So then to have Memphis and then, this last game, I thought, are they going to have like a little hangover after Memphis? You never know, but for them to come back with the way they did at Wichita State was
And for it to be the same day as the Bucks
cool.
playoff game and still have a good crowd there, right?
That's right. Yeah, the turnouts have been incredible. I was at both games this past weekend, women's on Saturday and men on Sunday, and both crowds were
I think
wonderful.
the thing is, I think the crowds are going to keep getting bigger and bigger because, look, this is a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're winning. And they've got a lot of interesting pieces on this team, guys to watch that are tremendously talented. Bulls have won 4 of their first 5 conference games for the first time since the building opened here, when it was the Sun Dome. So we are amid something I think very special with the men's basketball team. They got to keep winning, but they're off to a tremendous start in the league.
Well, the next chance for you guys to see them is Saturday at home against UTSA. Then the women's basketball team plays Sunday against East Carolina. We're going to talk to Jose Fernandez. His team is right now 3-4 in conference, but the other day, a very close defeat against a good North Texas team. These new teams in the Conference USA, from the Conference USA, have had the Bulls just barely at the end. So I think things are going to turn around. We're going to talk to him about it. Romi Levy, who has been unreal, folks. She, at one point in the season, 11 games in, was averaging 7 points a game. Then she got her career high, which was 21 at the time. Since then, she has averaged in the last 9 games basically what her career high was, 17.5 points. She has been unreal, 32 against Tulane. We'll talk to her. You'll get to see Caylee's feature that she spoke about as well, as far as that crazy education day with the women's basketball team. We'll also talk to Steve Bradley of men's golf. As I continue to move my hands, I just realized that I'm moving my hands. So we'll take a break and
Good exercise, Darek.
There you go.
see if I can keep these things down. Stay tuned. Jose is coming up next. Darek Sharp with Joey Johnston and Jose Fernandez, the head women's basketball coach. And we are here for season number 24. Jose, I know that sometimes you probably don't get the chance to sit back and reflect as we're doing it now. I mean, you got to go through your entire time here. Isn't it amazing how this program has turned around and you've been a part of the whole thing?
Yeah, it's been an incredible experience for my family and myself. Not many coaches around the country can say that you've been at one place for 24 years, but again, when I got the opportunity to take over this program in 2000, all right, it was an opportunity for me to hire the right way and build this program from scratch. And looking at what we've done and since taking over and where the program has gone and where our former players have continued to play on professionally, either at the WNBA level or the overseas level, and proud of the fact of so many assistants have moved on and become head coaches. The University of South Florida and the city of Tampa is an incredible place to be. So there's a lot of momentum right now within our athletic department with everything going on with the UR football team and Alex Golish and his staff and his players taking us to a bowl game, and a lot of excitement with Amir and the men's basketball program and where they're at. But the building of an indoor performance facility was great for recruiting for our football program, and now the plans for an on-campus football stadium is truly amazing.
Jose, in the 24 years you've been a head coach, that's quite a long time. How have you changed and what have you learned about dealing with the ups and downs of a season and building the program? I'm sure at this point you've seen about everything. So how does that 24 years of head coaching experience come into play these days as you're older and more wiser and I'm sure more mature than you used to be?
Well, Joey, as we film this show, we're 20 games into our season. And we're definitely in a different situation that our program, my staff, and myself has been in, because we've been in the top 25 poll every year the last 10 years. So I wouldn't call it a rebuilding year, because I never want to call it a rebuilding year. You always have such a great opportunity to recruit student athletes and develop those student athletes. And unfortunately, we had to replace 2 pros that went in the draft. And then I truly believe one of the best 10 shooting guards in the country and the best player in our league, and another young lady that got hurt before the season, that we planned on her playing for us interiorly. So there were a lot of question marks before the season went in. And, as we navigate the final 11 games of the season, unfortunately also, this is going to be a one-bid league, and it hasn't been a one-bid league since the inception of the American Athletic Conference. So my job is to make sure that we continue to get better every day in practice, so we position ourselves that we need to go to Dallas and win 3 games in 3 days.
Sammy Puig is, of course, being the player he referred to. Another thing that has changed over the course of your time here, and is the reason one bid league hasn't been a thing for you, is your scheduling this year. NC State, Texas, Baylor, they're all teams that can make the Final Four. I'm curious, when did it switch? Because it used to be a time where you would host events, and then it became you were attracted to these, or an attraction for these multi-team events.
When we transitioned into the American, Darek, when we were in the Big East Conference, it was the best league in the country, 16 teams. 8, 9 went to the NCAA tournament, the next 4 or 5 went to the NIT. And so the scheduling philosophy back then was a little different, because you were going to be challenged so much in league play. And then when you switch over to the American, we had to play out of those 13, 14 non-conference games, probably 7 or 8 of them as in the top 100 to bolster your RPI, which is now the net, right? Which no one knows the exact formula for.
That's a secret.
It's a secret. So, and those high RPI games this year in Alabama, NC State, and Baylor, and Texas, we didn't win any of those. Also Arizona State from the Pac-12. And again, we're in a different situation.
Sure.
3 or 4 losses in league play. We've been up 2 possessions with 5-6 minutes to go. And we talked about it. We hadn't lost back-to-back conference games in over 5 years. So, different group, different team. But our job as coaches is to continue to practice and prepare and get ready for East Carolina this upcoming week.
Jose, there's a number of new teams in the American Athletic Conference this year, and maybe we weren't exactly sure how it was going to shake down. It looks like the league is maybe a little better than people thought it was going to be. Speak to the kind of competition you're seeing night in, night out in the AAC.
Well, I thought we added some really, really good basketball coaches. You look at UAB and Charlotte, and Kara's been there for so long, and Jason taking over at North Texas, Karen at UTSA. So I think those programs coming in, they were excited to join the American, coming from where they were coming from. But what we need to do is our league has to continue to get better, so we can get multiple teams in the conference. Because when you have more top 100 teams and maybe get a couple top 50 net ranked teams, and you're getting more quality games in January, February.
We'll wrap it up in a second, talking about a big opportunity for you guys this weekend and Alumni Weekend as well. But I did want you to mention your top 2 players right now with Vicky and our guest on today's show, Romi. Did you just know that Vicky could be that kind of scorer, and then we've seen Romi progress as one?
We have, I believe, close to 30 alumni that are going to be here this weekend, so that's great because we have a lot of alumni that are playing professionally overseas. So that just tells you I've been here a long time, that some of those guys are done playing and now they can come and enjoy Alumni Week. But Vicky and Romi, Romi just fits the way that we play, and I thought she was a little bit out of position when she was at Auburn, and she's right now with her and Vicky have been the two wings that have really stood out for us. If Sammy was around, we'd probably find a way to play all three of them at the same spot. We would just have to retool a little bit and probably play with 4 perimeters. But I mean, we lost a lot of our post play, and we've been very inconsistent at that 4 and 5 spot all year. So we have a small room for error when you lose someone like Sammy and Caitlin McGee that we probably counted on to defend and rebound interiorly. But down the stretch here, we're gonna need Marina Asensio to come off the bench and knock down some shots like she did. And, perimeter-wise, Maria Alvarez and Carla Brito and Daniela Gonzalez just got to give us more on the offensive end and also defending interiorly. And Evelyn and Laura, we need to get more from that position as far as finishing around the basket and walling up, staying out of foul trouble.
Well, we look at the opportunity this weekend. It's going to be at noon on Sunday against East Carolina, important game. And right now the Bulls, in a place they're not used to being, as you say, in the schedule, but a chance to completely turn it around. And a player that's been big for the Bulls in doing so, Romi Levy, will join us in a minute. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
BullsEYE continues next.
It's Education Day today. Talk to me a little bit about what that entails.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of preparation, a lot of planning. 85 schools and about 9,000 students that will come. And it's free lunch, free game. It's just honestly an opportunity to create future Bulls.
What does it take to coordinate an event like this?
It's honestly a lot of preparation, and I really could have not done it alone. I start this back in August, and then I get help from not only my marketing team, but from the event staff, from parking, UPD, event management, and then the building itself. And we have several meetings leading up to the day and figuring out how are we going to get the schools here, what buses are, where buses are parking, and staffing on game day. And yeah, it's honestly, it's a lot.
And this is more than just a game for these kids. Talk to me a little bit about how this game motivates the students.
Yeah, so most, if not all schools, they actually have to have a certain grade. Schools will kind of use it as an incentive, and then they wait until grades come out, and they have to have a certain grade in order for them to even be able to attend.
In true Education Day fashion, students learned about the rules and scoring system of basketball and implemented math techniques to calculate the score and keep track of points. They were also given an educational booklet containing a basketball-themed word search, crossword puzzle, and word scramble. Students got to use their creativity and design their own uniform, complete a BullsEYE coloring page, connect the dots around Rocky D. Bull, learn our USF songs, and take a Bulls basketball quiz. The Bulls are so involved in the community. What has the support been like from Coach Jose and the staff?
Yeah, I mean, the support has been phenomenal. Leading up to it, I gave the support staff and Jose updates every, I would say, like 1,000th. I'd be like, Jose, I'm at 6,000. Jose, I'm at 7,000. And he gave me kind of a challenge and was like, are we opening up the 300? And I said, I'm opening up the 300 for you, Jose. And I did it.
Continuing on BullsEYE with Romi Levy. And Romi, we're going to get to your teammates, your family, but we've got to talk about what's going on with you on the basketball court first, because it's been phenomenal. I remember against IUPUI, we're in West Palm Beach. At the time, you were averaging around 7 points a game, having some good games. Then you hit a career high. And since then, you're basically averaging what was your career high. So what has gotten into you? And I mean that in the best way possible.
I think that I was waiting this whole time for the moment that the spark is going to come back. You know, everything's going to connect. And I kind of knew it was in me somewhere deep inside. It's been there when I was a kid. Kind of went away a little bit. But I think I made it to the right place, the right coach, and it just happened. You know, I didn't really think about anything too much. Got my confidence back.
We'll talk about your coach in a second, but even rewinding it a little bit back to the Virgin Islands, and I don't know if it's because of the fact that your old team, Auburn, you had watched them play Alabama in a football game very emotionally, but your fourth quarter performance against Texas started it to me. You were on fire that fourth quarter, and the game had been decided in favor of Texas, but you scored 10 points. Did that sort of, was that the beginning a little bit?
I think that game was a point where I saw that we're all kind of down, and I was trying to be that person to bring everybody up. I think it was a little tough at the beginning, and we started and we kind of got punched, so I thought it was the time to punch back. And same thing. I mean, I didn't think about it too much. I think when I don't think a lot, I'm better, you know.
Okay.
So that's what happened there. And yeah, maybe that was the beginning of everything.
Wow, mental note, don't think a lot.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
I already do that.
When I've talked to some of you guys after the game in post-game interviews, when I've asked about the continued success of this team and this program, a common answer is Coach Jose. Coach Jose, talk to me about your relationship with him and what it's like working with him.
Man. I think that throughout my career, I had a lot of ups and downs with a lot of coaches. I think that a good coach is basically who's gonna get the best out of you or the worst out of you. I think that having Coach Jose was the thing that brought the best out of me. And he knows exactly where to put me in the situations that are gonna put me in the best on the court. Mm-hmm. So I think that I was looking for it for a long time. Being at Auburn, and then coming here, I knew that coming here is going to be the right decision. Just watching how the team plays, knowing the coaches, being around Europe, seeing other players, and understanding the type of basketball player that I am. So yeah, I think that I got lucky.
What was that transition like, that whole decision process?
Wow. I think it was a roller coaster. I think that at first, the first year at Auburn, of course, we got into a coaching staff change. So after the first year, I mean, I had a decent year. I got SEC freshman team and all of that. Then the second year, I tore my ACL. So I didn't really get to play at all, obviously. And then after this time, I found out that that's probably not the right place for me, seeing the new coaching staff coming in. But of course, I had to come back to basketball after an injury. So I decided to take another year at Auburn and kind of trust my body. So I did that, but I knew that I needed to find a better fit. So I remember, I mean, it was kind of towards the end of the season, and I called my dad and I told him, I know where I want to go. I mean, there's no question. And I think we used all the connections possible to reach out to Coach Jose and Coach B and push it as much as possible. They're probably in the NCAA tournament still, and we did not let go. I mean, I called my dad every day. If it's the middle of the night, if it's in Israel or whatever time it was, and I told him, I don't care, I'm going to end up there. I mean, I'm not going to fall into a bad school again. So.
Well, we'll talk about your dad in Israel growing up in a second. And Coach B is Michelle Woods-Baxter. But everyone has their different experiences with the torn ACL, and unfortunately, one of your teammates is having one now. We were talking before we started recording. Rehab not only is difficult, but the wake-up call. Come on now, 5 a.m.? Take us through your experience.
Yeah, I think that going through an injury like this, it's hard mentally more than physically. But coming out of the injury, I'm just a better person. I think that I grew as a person. I think that I learned a lot of things about myself. I learned that I'm more than just a basketball player, which was really, really big for me because, started playing basketball when I was 3 or 4, and this is basically what was my life around. Not a lot of friendships, not a lot of, school focused. It was a lot of basketball all the time. And going through this injury and getting this 1 year out of basketball and focusing on my body and myself and my mental health, I think that it was really, really important. So yeah, I have a memory on my leg, I have a scar, I have 3 scars on my knee, but I think it's a journey that was worth having. I don't want to go through it again, but
Right,
I think that it's something that, I couldn't prevent, and I'm happy that it happened because I turned into a better person.
You talk about starting when you were 2 or 3 playing basketball.
Yes.
And when you look, I mean, one of the tallest on the team, right? So growing up, that background, you are 6'3"?
Right now,
Yes.
almost 6'3".
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
so I'm 5'10", so I'm not, don't have your sort of height, but
I'm the short guy here.
I sprouted early. I think when I was about 14, I was 5'8" already. So in your basketball journey, did you ever use that to your advantage growing up, your height or anything? Did that play a role?
I don't think that I noticed how tall I was until I got to college. I mean, European players are tall,
Okay.
you know, and I think the biggest difference I had at home that I don't probably have here is that I was more athletic than the kids at home, back home. Here, I mean, you know, there's so many great players and great athletes that it's really hard to compete. But yeah, I was one of the tallest kids. But I had that summer, I remember, maybe I was between the age of 13 and 14, where I had a huge jump in my height. So I was kind of average, and then I came back from summer break. I was with my dad overseas, and we came back after maybe 4 weeks, and my mom looked at me and she said, "Whoa, that's a different person." so yeah, I remember this time specifically, but yeah, that's about it.
So you mentioned becoming more of a person. I just got to tell you, folks, she is one of the most engaging, humble, nice, intelligent people on the team. And I want to go back to your time in Israel, back to the athletic side, because your grandmother, your mother played for the national team, your older sister as well. But tell people a little bit about your grandmother.
Yeah, my grandma. I think she's the reason everybody started in the family. You know, walking into my grandma's house is just walking into a museum full of medals and trophies and all of that. I mean, it's amazing. She was everybody's like star in the family, you know. You look around and you see how successful she was. She's such an inspiring woman. So she was actually a track and field athlete.
Right.
She was a long jump and a high jump. She was in the Olympics.
In the Olympics.
In the Olympics, yes. In Helsinki, I think it was around 1952.
You got it.
Yep. So it all started with her, and then my grandfather was a basketball coach, and my mom played in the national team. Of course, my grandma played basketball as well in the national team, so she was a track and field and a basketball player. I don't know how we can do it nowadays, but yeah.
That's an impressive multi-sport
Right.
athlete to have the Olympics be one of your sports
Right.
to begin with.
So my mom played in the national team, and then my sister played basketball, and I also always looked up to my sister, which is funny because now she doesn't play basketball anymore. But I always looked up to my sister and was like, oh, I want to be like my sister one day. So, you know, growing up in a family like this, you don't have a lot of choices.
Your sister, by the way, now a very famous model, so she's gone on from her basketball career to be famous in a different way.
Yeah.
Now, growing up over there, you also have the compulsory military service for 2 years. That's why she sounds maybe more mature than the normal person. As we all know what's happening back in your country, I just want to check on your parents. How's your family doing?
My
Have you
family-
gotten to see
yeah.
them?
My family is doing, you know, okay, as much as possible. I think it's just heartbreaking news every single day coming in and out. Everybody is having a part of it. Everybody is having a piece of it. I mean, I knew some people that died, and my cousin got injured, and, you know, there's a lot of things into it. So I always remember when I get on the court that I'm in a really, really good situation right now. And there's some people that are really going, you know, some people at home that are actually fighting for our country. And I just appreciate every moment that I can be here. But, you know, seeing my mom and my dad and my sister all trying to volunteer and help and just do as much as they can, I mean, warms my heart. I wish I could be there. So I hope I can go after the season.
Well, to be able to play as well as you've been playing, really, that puts it into perspective of as far as what she's dealing with, and we really commend you for it. Now let's talk about some of your teammates. And they got some goofballs on the team, good basketball players as well. So who is the comedian on the team?
The comedian on the team? Probably Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's always making jokes.
Heard she
Yeah.
was a big prankster. You also said Oliva was
Yeah,
a big prankster.
Oliva is a prankster. Yes, but I think Maria is just like you can't take her serious sometimes.
She's also the musical heartbeat of the team.
Yes,
So
yes.
can outside of the fact that she can just produce music, can anybody actually sing on the team? Well.
I don't know if I will say well, but we have one person on the team that will not stop singing. I mean, every situation, serious, sad, I mean, no matter what it is, the national anthem, she doesn't even know the words. But I stand right next to Oliva, she is to my right, and she will just try so hard. So I think she really has a passion to it. I just don't want to tell her that she's not really good, but Yeah.
Okay, failing singing, you can actually appreciate music. I understand that you've been to some concerts here.
Yes.
One artist in particular?
Beyonce, love.
That's your thing?
Amazing.
So good. Went on my
Amazing.
birthday, 10 out of 10. I'm so glad that I'm in Tampa because all the best artists come here, and I mean, I'm not gonna miss any of it.
And you're a country music fan too,
Yes, I love country.
since coming to the States.
Yes, well, living in Alabama for 3 years, I think you have to.
Better be it.
Surrounded.
All right, now as we start to wrap it up here, a culinary situation here. First of all, we share love for Fresh Kitchen.
Yes.
And
I'm missing out, apparently.
this one's never
Yeah,
heard
you
of
I've
Fresh.
are
never
missing
been.
out. Oh, it's so
I mean,
good.
it's the best.
Is it?
It's simple ingredients
Is
that
it?
get it
Fresh.
to you quick.
Okay.
Fresh kitchen.
Hence the name.
Okay.
I mean, if I told you on a normal conversation that you have to have golden chickpeas, you'd be like, that can't be good.
Right,
Trust
right.
me on that. But can
Okay.
anybody cook on the team? I think you could probably cook.
I was about to say, I mean, I'm not trying to stay humble here, but I think probably I can be the
Got a
one
little
of the
chef
best.
on our hands?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love cooking when I have time. Probably not in season. I'm super lazy, but I'll cook during off days. I'll make whatever you want me to make. So I like
Nice.
cooking. Yeah.
Nice. You have a signature dish? Go to?
I really like shakshuka. It's like an Israeli dish.
Oh, wow.
Shakshuka. It's like eggs and tomatoes.
Well,
I will have to make it one day.
I was to say,
Yeah.
clearly you need to
We
come
need a
up
little
with some
sampling.
Israeli
Yeah.
coffee for us as
Yeah,
well.
the
I know
coffee
you're a
the
coffee
coffee.
drinker.
Yeah.
The
Well,
coffee.
you look alert, awake, and just we love watching you. Keep doing
do.
what you're doing, and thanks for being our guest.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
We'll continue along next as we get to the golf course with Steve Bradley on BullsEYE. Here in the USF Golf Center with Steve Bradley, the men's head golf coach, and getting ready for the spring season in a few weeks. And if there's any team that can't wait for the season, I would say to start, but to resume because the fall was so good.
Right.
It's you, Coach. Tell people it's a little bit different with golf
Right.
and where you guys are going to be leaving off or picking up where you left off, hopefully.
Yeah, even though we're considered a spring sport, we do compete all year. The tournaments we play in September and October are just as important as the ones that we play in March and April. So, excuse me, it's a continuation all year. So we are excited to get going again. Certainly finished the fall on a positive, winning our last two events. Played really solid up in Northwestern's event in Chicago, our second event of the fall. So got a lot of momentum, not only from a team chemistry and dynamic point of view, but the guys have played a little bit in the off season individually. Had some positive results for that. So we're excited to get going again.
We'll get into the quote-unquote off-season because you're right, it's in the middle of the season. But you said Northwestern, that was an event where you guys shot 15 under in the middle round, and you carry that over to the next week, you win an event, and then you just blow it up 38 under in your final event. So what really clicked for the men's golf team?
Well, I think that, to be honest with you, comfort. We've got several starters that this is their first year at USF, so just whether it's football or basketball or any sport, coach dynamic personalities, how we coach, how we run practices, how we coach during tournaments, the messages they're used to receiving, whatever it may be. So it takes a little bit of a feeling out process. So especially with Cooper and Brock being new to us this past year or this season, and Jake's been with us for a year now, but it's still, they're still getting to know that, not everyone's like Sam's been here for 4.5 years, the COVID fifth year guy. But so yeah, we just, I think, kind of found our groove a little bit and how we can relate to these guys. And certainly you mentioned some of the scores. A lot of those are on the back half of a 36-hole day. So
Right.
You start a tournament, maybe a little nerves, maybe a little unfamiliar with the golf course to an extent. And as you kind of get in the flow of everything, you just play golf. And certainly our scores are indicative of the guys getting more comfortable.
All three of those really low-scoring events, the middle round, which is the second round of a 36-hole day, was your best score. You mentioned Cooper coming in from UNF. He's a local kid. Jake, of course, was here last year, transferred from Western Carolina, and also Brock from Kennesaw State. When you play golf, let's just say there was no transfer portal, although he had an interesting story.
Yeah.
He transferred
I did
from
transfer before the transfer portal.
from Florida State to Florida,
That's right.
incidentally.
That's
So, but how has that impacted golf? It's impacted every sport, I know.
It has. And as strange as our team is with a couple transfers on, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be quite honest with you. I couldn't imagine coaching another sport with the way it is, but we have certainly benefited more than it's hurt us. We've lost a couple guys to it, but by the net of it, I mean, we are a significantly better program because of the transfer portal. And I think regardless of whether it's a freshman or somebody coming in with some college experience, finding that right dynamic and the personality of how they're going to fit in not only athletically at USF, but also academically in the standards we have, and Coach Caldwell and I and the program we're trying to run, and trying to teach these young men to be good assets and ambassadors of our program as well as USF and USF athletics. So we've been fortunate that we've done a good job in the transfer portal.
You mentioned Coach Caldwell, B-Rad Caldwell. He was a big part of this program, been here for more than a handful of years. Now, last year, didn't quite have the full roster that you're normally having, and it ended a string of 9 straight trips to the NCAA tournament. So let's get into the roster makeup. First of all, people might not realize you have a starting 5.
Right.
Each round drop the lowest score, but you bring more than 5. Last year, you didn't really have that much of an option. So how is it nice to have a full roster?
I think that's part of the success we've had is the competitiveness we've had in qualifying. We've got 10 guys on the squad. 8 have played. We played 4 tournaments in the fall. We played 4 different starting lineups. So the guys know that they have to bring it around town during qualifying, whether that's playing 5 rounds of qualifying and in the low 3 rounds, or the low 3 guys get a spot automatically and 2 coaches' picks, or playing for 4 and 1 coach's pick. But really kind of depends on the time of the year and how we do things. But you're right. Us having a bigger roster, and not only us having a bigger roster, but the guys are better. I think what we went through last year, as unfortunate as it was, has made us better this year because of it. Certainly Chase got a lot of playing time last year, and his game has improved significantly because of that, as well as Jake. And I mean, whether they were playing good or not, they were playing.
Sure.
So they were fighting through some of the demons that they were having out there on the golf course and some of the challenges. So we went through it. Certainly wasn't great at the time, but I think it's made us a better program this year for it.
Chase Gullickson, he mentions qualifying. Yeah, during in between events, they have qualifying events that's against one another. So you don't just pick a starting lineup out of a hat, that kind of thing. But also during this, you mentioned it, off season, you are allowed to have players compete individually. Now, I'm always going to ask a dumb question from time to time. First of all, other than how they've done, how they've competed, with everything that's going on in NIL, can you actually win prize money during these events?
You
or is it
can
different
win.
okay.
No, you can win some prize money. It's not an exorbitant amount, but they can win up to, I believe, $1,000 now, which certainly it usually goes towards pro shop credit, so they get more golf polos and golf balls and stuff like that. And
I would go for
they
that.
you might want that. They get enough of those sort of things.
That's
true. But yeah, we did have several guys. A matter of fact, everybody on the team has competed at some point between November and here mid-January. So. Diego's actually down in Panama right now playing in the Latin American Am. Brock and Wilhelm just got done with the First Coast Am up in St. Augustine this past week. And then Cooper Smith won the New Year's Invitational over in St. Pete.
Killed it, didn't he?
He had a great event. He beat everybody's brains in there. And then Jake's had a really nice offseason. Sam's played solid. So it's nice that they are competitive enough where they want to try to continue to improve in the offseason. It doesn't take much pushing from Coach Caldwell and I. So hopefully by the time we get ready to get going here in mid-February, our first team event at UF, the guys won't have as much rust as maybe some of the other guys.
February 17th is the event at UF, and going into it, we finally know what the ranking is. You don't have to go into the whole story. There was a drama with the ranking system being changed, but when the computers finally spat out the official number for the Bulls, where are we?
I think we're 37 right now.
That's a good spot.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Certainly, you always want to be better than that. I do think that the schedule that we have set up for us in the spring, the severity of it, if we handle our business, we will improve significantly. But at the end of the day, really the only thing you're trying to do is win conference championship.
Sure.
Qualify for the NCAA postseason. You can do that by winning the conference or claiming an at-large bid, and so those are really the goals ahead of us. I mean, whether you're ranked 58th in the country or 8th in the country, you're still trying to win conference. You're still trying to qualify for NCAA regionals and then ultimately advance to the NCAA championship. So the rankings we don't pay much attention to, but there was a lot of turmoil with it and uncertainty with it, and I think everyone wants to know kind of where they're ranked. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change how we show up each and every day and try to improve.
And then people might not realize, well, there's a lot of grinds as far as winning national championships. There's no easy way to win it. But with golf, tell people the layout, because getting through your regional is the first test.
Right.
And you've been there several times,
Yes,
I think
sir.
4 with
Yes.
the South Florida Bulls
Yeah.
as a coach at the NCAA championships to win the thing.
Well,
Go.
First off, there are 6 regional sites throughout the country, and there's anywhere from 12 to 14 teams at each site, and the low 5 teams advance to the NCAA. So there's 30 teams at NCAA. and then you play 4 rounds of stroke play, and the low 8 teams then go to match play. And so then they'll play 3 more rounds of match play. So you're playing 7 rounds of golf in 6 days, ultimately to be crowned the national championship. And certainly would be nice to have that problem to have.
I see it's not in Arizona this year.
It's not in Arizona. It's a
Darn,
new
it's
site
in
this
San
year.
Diego.
Yeah. It's not going to be 110. Hopefully it'll be 75 and perfect, and we'd like to find out for sure.
Well, the Bulls hope to be there, but before there are plenty of events in the spring. And golf is, again, we talked about the unique situation where the fall and the spring count equally. Another unique situation for golf, unfortunately, is most sports, you have crowds. Even for road games, you have crowds. At golf, I don't know if a lot of students, as much as they like you guys, are going to travel to Wisconsin or wherever to root for you. Do we have many home chances for other than families, other people to come to check you guys out?
So we've got a one-day event against Northwestern, January 27th, Saturday, January 27th, up at Southern Hills in Brooksville. So it's about 45 minutes away.
It's not bad.
And we play at 12:30 in the afternoon, so they don't have to get up extra early to go up and watch us or anything like that. And I've already checked the forecast; supposed to be about 75 to 80 degrees, so that's good.
Excellent.
We play at UF, so a couple hours away, but the next closest will be the conference championship, which is over in Bel Air, St. Pete area. That's at the 3rd week of April, and that would be the event we'd want everybody to show up for, be as loud as they possibly can for the Bulls, and hopefully cheer our guys on to another conference championship.
Now, as we start to wrap it up, I got a couple fun questions, obviously. Gear.
Yes.
Some individuals wear a certain order of shirts. Do you guys have any sort of, not superstition, but traditional, like first round, second round, third round, or is it whatever you're feeling at the time? I know you have a lot of options, by the way.
We typically start the year with letting the guys pick the uniforms, and then eventually just kind of the OCD of Coach Caldwell and I and trying to plan and get the itinerary together. Eventually we just kind of do it. But we are superstitious, and we do have certain shirts that the guys feel better in. They have certain shirts that they think they look better in.
Which is a very important part of golf.
Which is a very important part of golf. And some guys think they look really good, and they play really poorly in it, so that shirt's out. So we do kind of go through those revolving superstitions and changing of outfits and uniforms and everything like that. So it's quite funny to kind of see how we do it.
Of your individuals, who has the goofiest set of superstitions, or just everyone's got their bizarre rituals?
Yeah, everyone's kind of got their bizarre rituals. Golfers are, it's an individual sport, so they all are used to doing their own thing. Everyone warms up differently. Some guys like to putt and chip before they hit balls. Some guys like to eat certain things for breakfast beforehand, so it's not like the other sports where there's a team catered meal typically, whether it's a hotel breakfast or we're grabbing something at Chick-fil-A or whatever it may be. But guys, they have their own idiosyncrasies in the morning and how they do things, but they all are a little superstitious in certain ways with the number of tees they carry in their pocket to how they mark their balls and everything like that. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Forbid you short a tee in your pocket. And last thing, it seems like you've got a good group of characters, because I saw the video of people impersonating you.
Yeah.
And listening to you now, a couple of the guys were okay. But this phrase, you did say it once, but that was it, whatever it may be.
Right.
Did you clean it up for this particular interview?
I've thought long and hard, and I think that they're messing with me a little bit. I don't say it nearly as much as I believe. I did ask Coach Caldwell, and he's like, I've never heard you say that phrase. I asked my wife. She's like, there has to be something. So I think there's some playing it up a little bit. I think when they got the first question and then they went to everybody else,
they followed on with it.
I think they said, let's go with this.
So whatever it may be, that's
whatever
probably not
it may be, I will take it. I enjoy this group. They are a fun group. They work hard. They're competitive, and we're excited to get the spring going.
Well, you heard it. This weekend, this Saturday, you can check out the Bulls, and then, of course, the season starts in a couple weeks after that. Full best of luck.
Thank you.
Let's
Appreciate
bring back
it.
that NCAA tournament
Go
trip with
Bulls.
Steve Bradley and men's golf.
As you can tell, sitting on my hands because I did not stop moving them the whole time. This is the only way we're doing this. No, that actually is not very good either. As we wrap it up here.
I talk with my hands too, so I get it.
I know
get it.
I
It's
know
hard
it,
not
but
to.
I didn't know that I had a whole language with them. But we're good. And then, sometimes I'll catch myself in the background. Joey, you can see you guys on TV, especially at the Yingling Center, and you seem very calm during the broadcast. Is that right? You have to sort of keep Jim Lighthall in the
Yeah,
collected.
Jim's pretty excitable. He can. I know they have to modulate the volume sometimes when exciting things happen. And I actually love his calls when there's a big dunk or something. He almost makes me double up in laughter with his impromptu discussions.
I
gotta tell
love
you.
listening to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You were starting to get a little bit of my radio broadcast partner for the women's games is Bridget Miranda, and she is like the emotional backdrop to the whole broadcast because she will make noises. She'll say, "Oh, that's a good play." And it's like you were starting to get that uncontrollable burst of excitement during the men's game because they're starting to happen more often.
Well, there's a lot
amazing.
there's a lot of exciting things going on. I think that's
Yeah.
part of it. It's reacting to this team, which, as you know, in basketball particularly can be ups and downs, and what you are in March is not what you are in November. And I think that's definitely true for this men's team. You see things happening before your eyes. You see it kind of blossoming.
Look at your
And am
hands.
I doing this right, Darek,
Yep.
by the way? And but I truly do think this could be a very special men's basketball team that is capable of growing into something maybe very memorable in March.
They've had a lot of great players in their past. It is alumni weekend for both the men's and the women's games. So everybody, come on out Saturday to watch the guys at 4 o'clock. And the question that'll be on everybody's mind, naturally, we have all the Charlie Bradley at the top of the list. He was actually a halftime guest. He was at the game in Memphis that are going to be there that usually come. But can Darek Sharp come? And if so, wouldn't that be the best?
Please, I want
Make
that photo.
happen.
I will be
Make that
there.
happen.
I will be there. The other Darek Sharp, as I call him. That'll be a fun one. And then
I love
on
it.
Sunday, as you heard Jose Fernandez mention, it'll be a lot of the women's basketball alumni, and they're playing against East Carolina at noon. So in a couple weeks, we'll be back with another episode of BullsEYE. We'll return to Amir Abdul-Rahim. We'll also have a member of that team and continue to bring you a lot of Bulls hoops. For Caylee Cottrell and Joey Johnston, thank you guys for listening. I'm Darek Sharp, and keep those horns up.